Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video, I am doing my very first collab with Itzell. Her channel name is I Martinez, and of course, I will have a link to her channel in my description box. Now, Itzell has been one of my subscribers, I think, since shortly after I started my channel, I'm pretty sure. I feel like Itzell has always been a part of my channel, like commenting in the comment section, being super supportive and super kind. I just adore her. And several months ago, I think, has it been a year since she started her channel? I'm not sure exactly. But when she did start her channel, I was just thrilled to go and subscribe and show her as much love and support as I possibly could. I will say though, and I've mentioned this a couple times, that lately I haven't been really watching as many people's videos as I would prefer to do, just because I am so busy and then I'm so exhausted that it's hard for me to keep up with everybody's content. But I highly recommend that you go and subscribe to her channel if you have not yet already. Show her a ton of love and support. She is beautiful. She creates beautiful makeup looks. She has great taste in makeup, and she does a lot of different things on her channel, including lives, which I have not done a live yet. I don't know that I will. I'd like to, but it just seems like a lot, and I don't always have the bandwidth for a lot. So Itzell and we talked about what we could do for our collab. I was thrilled that she asked me to do this with her. And initially, we talked about possibly doing like an Earth Day collab. But I think on the actual Earth Day, which I believe is the 22nd of April, she already had other video commitments. And so I said, well, what day would work the best for you? And we both decided on the 20th, which of course, that's when this video is going to go up. And we felt like it was close enough to Earth Day that we could kind of maybe center our collab around that. But then I suggested, why don't we find pictures near us that we just love in our home state and create a look based on the colors within the image that we chose. And she said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So this is more like a hometown scenery collab versus an Earth Day collab. So I picked a picture of Sahalie Falls, which is a beautiful waterfall, not very far away from where I live. And I just thought the picture was gorgeous. There's a lot of greens and browns and the white foamy water. And I knew exactly what palette I was going to pull in to this video, because this is a palette that I always think of when I think of makeup and the state of Oregon, and it is the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. Now, I've had this in my collection for quite some time. This is an older palette, and I got this palette because I saw Jen Phelps talking about it in one of her videos, and I'm a huge fan of Jen Phelps, and it just looked like such a beautiful palette. And the minute I first saw it, I'm like, that says Oregon to me, because we have the mountains and we have the ocean or the coast, so I thought this was a really good mix for Oregon. Now, of course, in that image, I would say that most of the colors I feel are right here in the palette. So I'll be using primarily these shades here. This is a more neutral look, but I love the earthy, grungy tones on this side of the palette. I also love the blues. They're absolutely stunning. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to be sticking to these shades here. I think what I'll do is start off by putting this shade here called Spruced Up in my transition area. And then I'm going to put Desert Storm and Can't Kelp It in my crease and outer V areas. And I think for the shimmers, I'm going to use, this one's really pretty. I think I'm going to use this one here called Fuji Feels. This one here called Sahara, is that right? And then this one here called Sun Yourself. Yeah, those are the shades I'm going to be using. Without my glasses, this is not very fun. And what I'm going to do, though, before I get into the look, is I'm going to read you some facts about Sahalie Falls here. I was going to do that while I put my look on, but I can't read the printing on my other phone here. So let me put my glasses on, and I'm going to read you some stuff off of Google about Sahalie Falls. So Sahalie Falls and Coosaw Falls are located along the Mackenzie Pass, Santiam Pass, and West Cascades National Scenic Byways off of Highway 126. The Waterfalls Loop Trail, part of the Mackenzie River National Recreation Trail, connects the two waterfalls and offers up-close views of the wild Mackenzie River. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It really is. I've been to Sahalie Falls a few times. Not for quite some time, but it's beautiful. These falls mark the terminus of two thick flows of basaltic andesite lava that dammed Clear Lake and moved into the Mackenzie River 3,000 years ago. The results are two breathtaking waterfalls with foaming whitewater cascades in between. Sahalie, or heaven, and Kusa, for sky, are Chinook jargon words, part of a rudimentary trade language that allowed people to exchange news and goods in the area. The Kalapuya, Molalla, Sahaptane, and Chinook peoples traveled and traded here, perhaps on their way to obtain obsidian in the high Cascades or to gather huckleberries. Both sites feature a parking area, interpretive panels that tell the story of area geology, restrooms, and observation points. So it's a beautiful area. One of the things I will say, though, as an Oregonian, is that we really get miffed, a little irritated when people mispronounce things. And often people will refer to the Chinook indigenous tribe as Chinook, and it's not Chinook, it's Chinook. Also Tillamook. Tillamook is a city here in Oregon, and there's a Tillamook indigenous tribe. And in the city of Tillamook is where they make Tillamook cheese and ice cream and that lip balm and all kinds of stuff, the Tillamook brand. And so many people will call it Tillamook. And honestly, that's pretty offensive to the indigenous tribes that live here. They don't want to be called by the wrong name. But, you know, people will say Oregon instead of Oregon. Makes me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to get into this look now, and I'm going to go into the shade right here called Spruced Up. I think I already said that in my transition area. And I'm going to use my Refer 16 brush for this. And I haven't been to Sahalie Falls. I'm trying to think of the last time I went to Sahalie Falls. Let me get the creases out of this. Probably since, I know I've taken my kids there, but they were pretty little the last time I took them there. Often what we will do is we will go to a place called Silver Falls, which is a beautiful waterfall that you can kind of like walk back behind. There's like 3 or 4 different levels of like a couple different waterfalls. And it's just a bit of a longer hike at Silver Falls than it is at Sahalie Falls. Sahalie Falls is about a 2.6 mile hike, and it's beautiful. And the Kusa Falls are really pretty too. It's beautiful vegetation around everywhere. And, you know, just to know the story of the indigenous people's history there, you know, it's really special. And it's just such a beautiful place. And you feel almost like the spiritual wellness when you're there. You know, it's just this very lovely, very peaceful place to be. And I've always just really liked going there. And, you know, it's just a shame that we don't go there more often. Part of the reason why we stopped going there the last time I took my kids is that there were so many people there. Like you could barely hike because there were just tons of people. It's like, geez. And we went on a weekend day, which, you know, that's usually when people want to go. So then we started going to Silver Falls more often because there wasn't as many people there. But the last time my husband and I went on a hike at Silver Falls, there were 1 million people there too. So you just kind of have to get used to the fact that there's just a lot of people that are touristy that want to go see these sites, and you just kind of have to get over yourself and not get irritated. But you know, it's kind of does take the fun out of it when you're like, you know, having to squeeze by people to get down the trail, and, you know, there's little kids running around yelling and screaming, and, you know, they're having a good time. But I just love the peaceful, tranquil side of it, listening to the falls rush and kind of go down in the Mackenzie River. And I don't know. I mean, that's just me. Kind of an old fuddy-duddy. But I highly recommend, if you guys come to Oregon, or if you live in Oregon and you've never gone there, it's been a while since you've been there, I'm giving myself the same advice to go check out the Sahalie Falls area. It's beautiful. Sahalie and Kusa Falls. It's a beautiful place. I think that looks gorgeous. I think it blended out very nicely. It's not patchy, nothing. I mean, this is an older palette. I wasn't real sure how it was going to perform, but so far, so good. So now I'm going to go into this shade here called Desert Storm, putting that in my crease. And, you know, that's the one thing I will say. Well, there's many things I love about Oregon, but one of the main things I love about Oregon is just all the beautiful places there are to go and see and hike and just take in the beautiful scenery. We've got a lot of, you know, mountainous areas in Oregon, rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, you know, all of that stuff. And, you know, we have thought about moving outside of the state of Oregon. I don't know, just because I've basically lived here my entire life, except for one year I lived in Wyoming, and my hair, it's after work and my hair's seen better hours of the day today. So it's getting a little rough looking. I was gonna film this video this morning and I woke up with a massive migraine. So I reached out to Itzell and I said, hey, I am gonna film this because, you know, I think I told her I was gonna film it this morning, but I said I'm gonna have to film it in the evening because I had a raging headache this morning. And she was like, oh, that's totally fine. I can't wait to see your look. Very sweet. That's the one, I mean, one of the main things about Itzell is that she is so sweet and so kind and just wonderful. I love her. She's amazing. Living in Oregon my whole life, except for a short stint in Wyoming, we just can't leave the state. You know, we might at some point. I don't know. I would say that if my kids end up moving out of the state of Oregon, we might follow them. Or, you know, like my stepdaughter or something, just depending on what's going on. You know, you never know. We might follow them to wherever they end up. We're hoping they don't ever go too far away, though. I'm going to go back in with this brush, just kind of blend that out a little bit. That's a very nice brown shade. And it seems to be working well with the green shade, so that's wonderful. There's not, you don't really want for anything in Oregon if you're looking for outside nature-y type stuff out in the wild. You know, there's just so many beautiful places. And it's really not that far away from where I live, you know what I mean? That's another cool thing about Oregon is that, obviously, the state's a larger state, of course, but I would say that most people, no matter where they live in the state, they're going to find some type of really beautiful, wonderful outdoor place to go and be. You know, oops, someone's knocked down on the ground. So that is really a cool part of being an Oregonian, is just the easy access to so many beautiful places to go and hang out and see and stay. And there's tons of places to camp here in Oregon. Yeah, it's wonderful. And I like how that looks really nice. Well, nah, it's okay. That's kind of, well, it's obviously more brown, but those are, whatever. I'm going to go to the shade here called Can't Kelp It and put it in my outer V and in my crease a little bit too. So I would love to know though, if you have been to Oregon, if you don't live here, of course, if you've been to Oregon and where you've been here and, you know, what your experience is like where you were at in Oregon. My husband and I frequently will go for walks at a couple ponds nearby. We live very close to the McKenzie River. It's like a 20-minute drive. This particular spot, though, of the McKenzie River, let me Google it and see how far it is away from where I live. Okay, it's an hour and 17 minutes away. So, yeah, it's farther away than I thought it was. But, yeah, so, you know, if you think about that, if I live 20 minutes away from part of the McKenzie River, but then you travel another hour and 17 minutes away and you're still at the McKenzie River. It's a big river, big one. I think the McKenzie and the Willamette rivers are the biggest rivers here in Oregon. That's another word that people often mispronounce is Willamette. It's spelled Willamette. And I live in the Willamette Valley, and there's a Willamette High School here and lots of Willamette stuff, Willamette Pass, Willamette this, Willamette that. And lots of people will call it Willamette or Willamette or Willamette. And we're all just like, it's Willamette. But, you know, if you don't live here, I can see how that might be a little confusing or hard to figure out how to say. But, yeah, we get our noses in a bunch when people mispronounce stuff here. It gets really kind of annoying. There's a bunch of memes about in Oregon about the way things are mispronounced. And for a while there were these bumper stickers you could get that had the phonetic spelling of Oregon. Because, you know, so many people say Oregon. No, it's Oregon. G-U-N, gun, Oregon. I don't know why I had to have a Southern accent to say that, but I did. I have lived in Southern Oregon before. That's a beautiful place to live. There's a place there called Table Rock, which is really fun to hike. You can hike Table Rock. It's beautiful. I'm going to go back in with this brush, just kind of blend a little bit more. Let's see. I'm trying to think of where else. My husband and I have been to Bend before, which is Eastern Oregon. That is beautiful and real far Eastern Oregon. It's more, maybe not quite as populated as other parts of Oregon are, but that's beautiful. Like my husband's family is from very far Eastern Oregon, Vail, Ontario. I've never been there, but he has a lot of really fun memories of going to visit his grandparents in Vail and Ontario, Oregon. And I do want to kind of blend this right here with just a clean brush because it's looking a little harsh. I love this. I think it's looking really grungy and earthy, and like the colors in the image, of course. So now I'm going to go into this shade here. This one is called Fuji Feels, and put that right here. Then I'll put Sahara in the middle, and then I'm going to put Sun Yourself towards the front part of the lid. I've also mentioned the Blue Pool hike, which is also part of the Mackenzie River, and that's closer to where I live than Sahalie Falls. I'm trying to think. I think the Blue Pool hike is about half an hour away from where I live, and I've done that several times, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You kind of go up this up and down, rocky, steep, well, not really steep, I wouldn't say. It's just kind of hilly and rocky and stuff hike. And then you kind of come to this clearing and you look down and there's this beautiful blue pool, and the water is just this pristine, like almost fake looking blue. And you can swim in blue pool. It's freezing. I've never done it, but my kids have, and my stepdaughter and stuff. We did do a family hike there. Oh gosh, a few years ago. I'm trying to think. It was probably about 6 years ago, I guess. Myself, my mother-in-law, my stepdaughter, and my son, and is that it? And and my husband's niece, or my niece too, I guess too, of course. We went on that hike, and it was wonderful. And the kids got in the water, and it was freezing. I have a ton of fallout down here. This is a very folly outy shimmer shade, but that's okay. I can clean it up. And they loved it. I was like, you guys are nuts because it's so freaking cold. The only thing that's really frustrating about that hike, I'm going to clean this brush off and continue to use this one. The thing that gets really frustrating about the Blue Pool hike is that I'm going to go into Sahara now, is that there are people that are mountain biking, and it's not meant for mountain biking. It really isn't, because there's like these kind of almost like ruts that you walk in. And so most of these people that are bringing their mountain bikes are carrying their mountain bikes while they hike through these tons of different areas, you know, like I don't know when they were really able to ride their bikes through that. That was so bizarre. My husband and I are like, what are you guys doing? You know, or another thing too, is they would come through carrying their mountain bikes, and their legs were just chewed to crap from their pedals, like hitting the backs of their legs and stuff, because it's, you know, it's not meant to be ridden on a bike. No, very strange. So we were like, huh, okay, that's weird. I'm taking this up a little higher because I'm realizing that that's the best way to apply shimmers. It's taken me how long? I mean, I do that sometimes, but not as much as I should. And then things get really like, and I'm like, I don't like how that went. So I'm trying to chill that out a little bit. I'm going to go back in with this brush though and just kind of make that look a little softer right there. Yeah, it looks pretty. And I think I'm going to go into a different brush for the front shade, the Sun Yourself shade. And, you know, of course, the coastal towns here are incredible. I mean, the Oregon coast is pretty cold. Well, not always. It depends. In the city that I live in, if the weather's warm here, typically it's really cold and breezy and blowy on the coast. But if it's cold and rainy or blustery here and you go to the coast, it's beautiful. So that's kind of how we gauge it. Sometimes, not always, but a lot of times I would say that's the case. But yeah, I've stayed in tons of different coastal towns here in Oregon, and there's really fun places to stay, beautiful views of the ocean. I would say that my favorite coastal towns here are Florence, which is about 45 minutes away. And then there's also like Yachats, which is wonderful. Newport, which is really fun too. I love Newport. Lincoln City is really fun because there's a lot of outlets, like shopping outlet stores there. That's so fun to go to. Gold Beach is really pretty. Brookings is down south, but that's another really pretty beach area to go to, or coast. It's not a beach. We don't call it the beach because it's not the beach. It's the coast. There's a big difference. But yeah, that's another beautiful spot is Brookings. And that I kind of made look a little funky. Oh yeah, I like how that looks. It looks really pretty. I do though want to add a little bit more of this Can't Kelp It shade. Can't It shade. Okay, put this right here. And you know, the cool thing is about all these different towns you can go in, they have a lot of like informational stuff set up so you can hear about the history of the town and, You know, there's a lot of indigenous people that lived in various places and still do live in various places throughout the state. And so you get to find out about their culture and their history. And it's really cool. I really enjoy doing that, you know, learning about those things, more about it. Because I've, you know, learned about it obviously off and on my whole life. Because, you know, Oregon history gets taught here in Oregon, of course. And a lot of it I do not remember because my brain goes, I don't need to hold on to that. I'll have a bunch of useless stuff floating around in there, but, you know, I do know some things, just maybe not as much as I would like to, or as I should, living in this state. I think this looks absolutely gorgeous, and this was super easy to put together, and I'm pretty much done. So I'm gonna go clean this up, do my other eye and the rest of my face here, and I'll be back. So this, of course, is my finished look, and I really do like how it came together. I just love that eyeshadow palette, and I felt like it had the perfect Oregon colors, especially to match the colors that are in the picture of Sahalie Falls that I chose for this collab video. And I'm so excited to go and watch Itzell's look come together. I've seen a picture of it, it's beautiful. And I've also seen the picture, like her inspiration picture that she chose as well, really fun. So I'll show you the eyeshadow palette again, but let me show you just a few things I threw on my face for my finished look. On my lips, I used a bullet lipstick from L'Oreal Paris. This is their Color Riche line, and this is in the shade 590 Blushing Berry. And I've had this in my collection for a while, and I just kind of forget that I have it, and I just love how it feels. It kind of does have a little bit of like a baby powder scent to it, which does not bother me at all. But I just felt like the shade was gorgeous, and I just love how this lipstick feels on my lips. I did use the Banger mascara from Makeup Mecca again. I'm pretty obsessed with this mascara right now. I did not use anything in my lower waterlines, and I used an eyeshadow to line my upper lids out of the palette. But I did use a shade again out of the Profusion Luminizer 1 highlighter palette that I've had for forever and a day. I used this shade right here called Wonderland, this light gold shimmer. I just felt like that would be a great addition to the look. So now let's talk about the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean eyeshadow palette. I just have always felt every time I look at this palette that this really does exemplify the state of Oregon. And I loved all the shades that I used for this look today. On my lower lash lines, I put a combination of Spruced Up and Desert Storm. And that was it, you know. I love the shimmer shades that I chose. This one had a little bit more fallout on my face than what I was expecting, but I didn't have my face makeup on, so it was really no big deal. Just wipe it off, brush it away. These two shimmer shades are absolutely gorgeous too. Santana? No, Sahara. Santana. We're not listening to Santana. We're talking about this eyeshadow palette. Sahara is beautiful, and then Sun Yourself. And this palette, I think, was like, I don't know, $11.99, $12.99, something like that off Amazon. So for it to work this well and be this affordable, I think it's great. I have heard people complain about this palette before, but I have never had a bad experience with it. And it's older, so, you know, I was kind of thinking I might have a bad experience with it, but not at all. I think this look came together absolutely gorgeously. So let me know if you've ever gone to Sahalie Falls, whether you live in Oregon or you've traveled there from out of the state. We can chat about that in the comment section. And please go and show my collab partner, Itzell, a ton of love and support. If you have yet to subscribe to her channel, I highly recommend doing so. I know her look is absolutely gorgeous, but like I said, I'm super excited to watch her put it together. And this was a wonderful experience to collab with her, and I really hope that we're able to collab together again. I just adore Itzell. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy, and of course, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.